there, tubers, how's it going? So, as you can see by the title of the video, I'm about to do something that is probably not the best thing that I could do, but I'm gonna do it anyway because it's gonna be funny. And full disclosure, I already have drank a little bit already before this video, but it was like a shot already of what I was doing. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm unoriginal with my content and decided to take the idea from a different YouTuber. But no, the original idea came from Thew Adams, where he did the 10 shots, 10 bots video. Full credit to him for coming up with the idea. So basically, the idea behind this is doing 5 quick reviews for figures that you haven't seen before, while also doing 5 shots of hard liquor. Well, I say hard liquor, but I'm going to be doing Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey. I actually just cracked this bottle before recording this, so that'll be fun. Okay, so I've got the bots right behind the camera there, so hopefully it'll be random enough. I've got my little red Solo shot cup, and we're going to get this started. Bombs up. It's good. It's very good. Very, very good. And reach behind here. Who is figure number 1? Nice. Okay, we're doing this first. Transformers Prime Viacon. The Viacon is from Transformers Prime. Basically, it was used as cannon fodder. They're basically like the stormtroopers of the Transformers universe. And I actually love this thing so much, and even thought about buying the Jet Viacon, but I'm poor and don't have enough money for that. Everyone who watched Prime loves this figure. I think another selling point for it was MGO naming it Gary and it kind of being a running gag that they actually used for the Repro Labels set. So he does actually have 2 hands, but the gun actually can clip onto either one of these doors. It has these divots right here in the arm, I guess, that the gun can clip onto and make it seem like that his hand is folded away and like it actually transformed. It looks great and it's fun, and it's fun to like build it up with a bunch of these. So let's transform it and take a look at the vehicle mode. I'm not too sure how I'm feeling about this video at the moment because I've never actually drank on camera, and I've only actually been drunk 3 times. And there's the vehicle mode. This vehicle mode is actually very cool. I love this vehicle mode. A lot of people have said that it looks like the Batmobile because of the spoiler back here, and I can kind of see it. And I would love to see someone do a custom of Batman from this thing. But the clips actually are present here in vehicle mode as well. They're up here by the light, and you can clip it on there and have it like that. They actually did something like this in the show. You know what's interesting? This is one of the very few figures from Transformers Prime that is actually better than the first edition one. Like, I'll throw a couple of pictures of the first edition one up on screen, but compared to this, it looked bad. Like, I saw a review of it and it was just really bad. Prime Viacon. If you have the chance, go get it. That's number 1. Get another shot ready. Cheers again. That's strong. I have a stuffed up nose and a bit of a cold going too, so it probably isn't going to be doing wonders for me. Who's next? Oh, Shockwave. This is the Fall of Cybertron Shockwave. And he's great. He's great. Don't get me wrong. Okay, before I get into the things that I dislike about this figure, let me state all the good things that are good about this figure. Because the good definitely does outweigh the bad here. For one thing, the hand flips away and you can plug this weapon like straight onto his hand. It does have a peg that you can hold it in the hand with, but you actually can clip it onto the hand. Whichever hand you choose, actually, it can clip onto either or. It's game accurate too. Like, it looks basically how it did in the game, which I love, and I love that. And I had a blast customizing this thing. Like, it was just so much fun. I do love this figure. I do really like this figure. But, like, the majority of figures do have their faults. And I'm sure, as you can tell, it's down below. The legs are just so thin and hollow. And another thing is about it is he's just a bit too small. Like, compared to Megatron and Soundwave from the War for Cybertron line earlier, like, a couple years before. And I wish it were, like, taller and a bit more filled out. Like, I can deal with some of the hollowness. I can. I just wish that they would have used the hollowness better. Like, if they would have, like, upscaled it just, like, by an inch, and they would have made it a little beefier. It's definitely a product of its time with budget cuts and all that. Enough of the bad things. I'm tired of talking about bad things. It's a good figure, and I would recommend it. So, now let's get down to transformation. I love the War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron video games. I was so upset to hear that they weren't going to get a sequel. Like, a proper sequel. Like, don't get me wrong, Rise of the Darkspark, I actually think is a good game, at which, in itself, is probably going to bring some hate comments, like, oh, Rise of the Darkspark's a terrible game. No. I thought Rise of the Darkspark was a decent game, but it definitely did not serve as a War for Cybertron or Fall of Cybertron sequel. Mainly because it was set to be kind of a prequel between the two games. And even in that right, it didn't really do that right. In Fall of Cybertron, Megatron got an upgrade because he was squished by Metroplex. And that's how he got his new body. And it shows that in the game. Like, his old body is in the beginning of the game, and then he gets rebuilt in this newer body. The problem with Rise of the Darkspark is that it used the Fall of Cybertron body. It fucked it up, essentially. If we're gonna get a Fall of Cybertron sequel, but it's a prequel that's actually between the two games, I would love to see Optimus Prime go from his War for Cybertron body to his Fall of Cybertron body. And that's where I'm just going to leave it off there because I'm tired of talking about it. I thought it was a decent game, but it definitely had its flaws. But let's get back to the figure. This is Shockwave's vehicle mode, and again, it looks good. Accurate to the game, how it looked, and it looks really good. It looks like it could be a Cybertronian shuttle with a gun on front that flies around. But my point still stands that it's just too small. Like I said, it's a product of its time, but I feel like it could have been worked around a little bit better, like they did with the older figures. But I'm not going to complain because it's a good figure, and Hasbro gives us a lot of good things. And it's been giving us a lot of good things lately. Alright, there's another figure, which means it's time for another shot. Here we go. What are we going to do next? Oh, it's time for Lockdown. Revenge of the Fallen Lockdown. From the subline of Nest Global Alliance, right? The story behind Lockdown is he was a cool animated figure that they decided to bring into the Revenge of the Fallen line and make it even better. They made Lockdown look so much better. They made him taller, they made him more badass looking. They made his hook bigger. Granted, it's made out of a soft rubbery plastic, but I don't even care. This figure is probably at least 2 times better than the animated Lockdown. I don't exactly know because I've never had a version of the Lockdown figure. If I did, I would probably want the BotCon Wild Rider. Another fun fact, I actually went to the 2011 BotCon. So, with this figure, you get the gigantic hook for a hand, which looks super badass. And you can even move it, and it'll look cool. So, like, if you move the hook downward, it, like, makes a little piston move, and you can see the joint working in there. And I think that's super cool. And you also get the little engine block EMP blaster that actually does work with the Revenge of the Fallen Nest Ratchet, which I used to have. And I actually used to switch them around between the two. Because it did work. It had the animated functionability from Lockdown and Ratchet. So it's almost like they actually did have a history between these two. But since Age of Extinction, it has since been shown that they didn't exactly have a history, but he was a bounty hunter. So let's get down to the transformation, shall we? I could have been making those fun facts while I was doing the transformation, and it would have made the transformation go by quicker. Whoopsie daisy. Oh well. I'll just have to do some. I'll just have to do some editing tricks to make it work better. Son of a bitch! I just know that as soon as this video is over, I'm gonna be going into the chat and making a fool of myself again. But it's okay because Drunk Cody or Drunk Dakota is fun. Oh darn, his arm came off.
Super fun.
Or the guys in the chat think he's fun.
He is fun.
Oh, you think so?
Mhm.
Is he more fun than Sober Cody? Or Sober Dakota?
No.
Well, that's good. You're my girlfriend, though. You have a little bit of a bias. So the reason that I'm mentioning Cody is because my parents actually used to call me Cody when I was younger.
Your dad still does.
Both of my parents still do.
I love you.
I love you. I have to edit all of this out now. Darn. We're having fun conversations, but you can't see it because I'm editing it all out. But it made the transformation go by quicker. Look, the vehicle mode's done. Oh my goodness, I love the way that this looks on this figure. Like, they made the they basically took the animated lockdown figure, ran it through a realistic emulator machine type thing. I don't know. I'm weird like that. And I can't think straight. They basically took it and made it spikier, cooler, and slightly more realistic, and I am in love with this thing. And that's more than I can say for the Age of Extinction lockdown, which I have, so I may as well talk about him. I'm not going to take another shot, I'm just going to swig it off the bottle. Ugh. It's good.
It's good.
As compared to the Age of Extinction lockdown, the Revenge of the Fallen lockdown is miles better than this. Like, I've heard that this figure shares engineering from the Dark of the Moon Roadbuster, I think it was. I mean, it's a decent representation of what he was in Age of Extinction, but, like, his limbs are lanky, and he's too small. He's, like, a bit too beefy, if that makes sense. And it just, the more that I'm thinking about it, I'm just finding more problems with this figure. I don't even think it's all that bad, to be honest, but it's definitely not great. He's got gorilla arms. Like, if I straighten his arms out, look. If I straighten his arms out, like, look at this. Look at this. Who has hands that go down to their friggin' knees? Look at it. Look at this. Who has hands that go down to their knees? Like, it's mid-thigh at best.
Can I see?
Here, I'll show you what he's supposed to look like.
Why? His arms are almost as big as he is. Like,
as compared to that.
Wow.
Like,
this isn't even close to that.
Like, look at this.
Like, what the hey?
See? So we now have a second opinion that this is not a great representation of how he looked in the movie. In robot form, that is. So, but he does come with his gun, which you can hold in his hand. Oh yeah, everyone can hold a gun in their hand. But what he also can do, he has his gimmick from the movie, where you can put it over his face. There we go. Gun face. Because he can do that. Why did Michael Bay make him do that? Why did Michael Bay make him do this?
Wait, is that...
This is actually a thing he does in the movie. Again, I will show you.
What?
Yeah.
What?
This is a thing that he did in the movie.
Oh, just... What?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
This is a thing that he did in the movie. Why? But the missile can shoot.
My double chin.
I have to go get that. Enough of the bad representation in robot mode. Let's get to the good representation for vehicle mode. The vehicle mode is a very good representation of how Lockdown was in Age of Extinction. He is a small well, not, okay, small isn't the word I would use that I would want for this lockdown. But he is low to the ground. He is sleek. He looks like the Lamborghini that he transformed into in the movie, and that's what people want. But it sacrificed the robot mode looking how it did for this. And honestly, that just isn't good enough. You can incorporate the gun into this if you must.
Why?
Because everyone wants vehicle mode storage. They don't care how it goes, except for they do care how it goes, because it needs to go under the car mode. Ugh, I'm getting way too into this, and I need to get my heated arguments out of this. Let's move on. Alright. Bombs up. Who's gonna be next? Waspinator. This doesn't count as a Beast Wars review. I will get a proper Beast Wars figure to review. If anyone was to get a Beast Wars style figure, Waspinator should be it. Because even though Waspinator was a bad guy, he's hilarious. He gets blown up in almost every episode, and he just sounds it, and he just sounds hilarious. But no, Waspinator was the figure that I wanted from the Generations line that was Beast Wars themed. Rhinox didn't exactly interest me that much, but it was better than Ratbat. But Waspinator was the way to go. And I'm glad that I got this thing because I love it so much. Like, my only complaint is that the bug legs just, like, kind of hang off the side there. But I honestly can forgive it because, like, that's how he was in the show. And on his original figure, it just doesn't exactly bother me that much anymore. So let's move on to bug mode. How the hell does this transformation work again? I forget. Probably really shouldn't be doing this one drunk. I actually forgot how this goes. I'm actually forgetting how this goes. And oh my god. Finally, after about a good 5 minutes of trying, here's the Wasp mode, and it looks really good. The Wasp mode looks better than how it did in the original Beast Wars, because, like, it's of its time. And, like, that was, like, the mid to late 90s when that show came out. So, yeah, figures weren't going to be that great back then, but still, this is better than how it was back then. The little laser pistol goes back there and kind of, like, gives the stinger, like, a tumor, basically. And you can even flap the wings to make it look like he's flying. Okay, enough gushing over Waspinator. Let's move on to the last shot. Oh lord, that's a full shot.
Jesus.
It's a full shot.
I see that.
Down the hatch. Okay, before I get to these figures, let's have a look at the alcohol I have consumed in this video. The alcohol when I started was about, let's say, about here.
That bottle was full.
Almost, yeah. We are about 5 shots into this bottle, and it's already all the way down here. Anyway, let's move on to the last one. Oh, good. It's a double figure review of animated Jetfire and Jetstorm, which means that I need to take another swig off the bottle. Animated Jetfire and Jetstorm. These two showed up around the beginning of, I want to say, season 3, and I'm honestly so glad that I found these figures because they came with the figures themselves, which is both of them. They also came with a comic book, which I also still actually own. Son of a bitch. This is one of the things that bothers me about these figures. These skirt pieces love to fall off of their friction joints, and they do it on mine frequently. But I'm not even there yet. Let's talk about what I like about these figures. They're cool, they're screen accurate, and you know, I just am a sucker for bots that are like twins, brothers, or they're like the same mold and like have same personalities. And in animated, these figures are basically all three of those things. So first, let's have a look at Jetstorm. Jetstorm is actually my preferred one because one of my favorite colors is blue, and his head sculpt is, in my opinion, better than Jetfire's. Like, it just looks like the head sculpt looks better than Jetfire's, in my opinion, mostly because like it has the one visor, and it has the thing that comes down and all the way around his face that makes his chin strap. Besides these things on his arms and on his legs, they're uh, exactly the same. Jetfire is the one whose name actually is actually from the G1 cartoon. They went very, very far off from the original design of Jetfire. But then again, they probably made the design for him as Skyfire, which he was also known as. So maybe there's a design of him floating around. But the design of him is very different from Jetstorm's. He actually has some goggles on the top of his head. He actually has an in place chin strap, and these things on his arm are different than Jetstorm's. And I will get into their abilities that they had on the show while I'm doing the transformation, which I will do right now. If you noticed while I was talking there, I said that they actually had abilities, which is something that is true. The two brothers in animated did have abilities. Namely, their abilities come from their thrusters. Jetfire more uses his abilities from the fire aspect of his thrusters, but Jetstorm actually uses the wind proportion from his thrusters, which is interesting, but I also would like to know how. Anyway, now I'm rambling, and on to their vehicle modes. Their vehicle modes are exactly the same, just in different color schemes. Jetstorm in blue and yellow, and Jetfire's in orange and, I don't know, let's say off white. Their cockpits actually do open, but they're tabbed in really good. So if you're sober, like how I'm not, you can get them open easily. But if you're drunk like me, you have to use your teeth.
Why didn't you just ask me to do it?
Because I'm a man and I'm too prideful. One thing with Jetfire and Jetstorm that you can do is you can use these side panels under what will be the robot legs. You can pull them out and actually make wings, which they actually use in the show. But the way that they're designed on their legs is actually kind of shard-like, which is stupid and I hate it. So I just leave them in and make it like that. One thing you can do in their vehicle modes is you can actually take them. They actually have specific tabs on them, which are on opposite sides on each of them, and you can tab them together like so. And they did this in the show, but with much more pizzazz. You can combine them together into this one huge vehicle mode, and I kind of like this. Okay, full disclosure, besides Transformers Cybertron, animated is my favorite TV show of the Transformers continuity. So yeah, they did this in the show, and the way that they did it was they basically just pulled Sentinel Prime across the lake to Dinobot Island. Kind of a misuse of this, whatever this is, but it doesn't really matter. I'm glad they introduced it at all. So, those of you who don't have this figure may have noticed that on each of their feet they actually have fists. And maybe you're wondering, well, why do they have fists? Well, that's because they actually can combine into one super robot It's like Energon all over again. And then you take the two halves and bring them together like this. Clip everything together. And here we have Safeguard, which is another new animated character, which is the two of them combined together. Should I take another swig at the bottle? Should I take another swig at the bottle because these two are now another character? I don't know, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I don't know how many times Safeguard actually appeared in the show, but I think it was actually just one time, which was Where Was Thy Sting? Or Where Is Thy Sting? I don't know. I TF wikied everything while I was doing this video. But I love the fact that these two can combine into one super figure. And like I said, it's bringing back Energon all over again. Except for instead of it splitting right here at the waist, it's splitting like straight down the middle. And I love this. I love this so much. If you have the chance to go get the Energon, not Energon. If you have the chance to go get these two, whether it's the official Hasbro release with the comic, or if it's in the Japan one, the Takara one, which are separated, go get them because I like them a lot. Okay, we did 5 shots and 5 bots.
You did more than 5 shots. You're a liar.
That's about 6.5 shots, maybe 7. I don't know. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I went to the bathroom twice during this recording. And I want to say, don't grow up and be nerdy and not boring. I need to change that outro soon because it's dumb. Take care, and I'll see you guys next time.